A unanimous landmark decision by Canada's top court today. It ruled against a law on doctor-assisted suicide for some patients.
The decision says the current ban violates the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms.
A huge victory for Canadians and a legacy for Kay. Thank you, Mother. Thank you.
The case was brought by the BC Civil Liberties Association on behalf of two women. Kay Carter and Gloria Taylor have both died since the legal battle began. They had degenerative diseases and wanted the right to have a doctor help them die. Carter went to Switzerland to end her life. Taylor died of ALS in 2012.
And as you can imagine, that decision is getting a lot of reaction today. Philip Lee-Shanok spoke with activists on both sides of this debate.
It's allowed.
After 2 decades of fighting for this, it's hard not to become emotional.
Today, the courts have dragged our laws into compliance with our core Canadian values, those values of autonomy and compassion.
9 judges unanimously agreed that the criminal code infringes on the Charter of Rights by preventing a competent person suffering from persistent and intolerable pain due to an inoperable health problem to ask a doctor to assist in his or her suicide.
Perfect.
It's a choice Toronto doctor Don Lowe made an emotional plea for just days before his death. Today it seems his efforts were not in vain.
But it is also bittersweet because it comes too late. Too late for Don Lowe and all the thousands of Canadians who have died without the peace of mind that comes from knowing they had a last possible alternative.
For this woman who has lived for 16 years with MS, it means her future may now include that difficult choice.
Right now, fingers crossed, I can answer that I own my body and that I own my life.
But others have serious concerns about where the ruling leaves the rules around assisted dying. This Toronto lawyer made arguments in the Rodriguez case and in this case 20 years later. He speaks for the rights of people with disabilities and says this ruling gives too much leeway to ask a doctor to help assist a suicide.
The court does not limit this to terminal conditions. The court limits it to irremediable conditions, which is basically any disability that is ongoing.
But the ban won't be overturned immediately. The ruling gives Parliament until the end of the year to craft new legislation. And even those who support assisted suicide say this is just the beginning and that rules and safeguards must now be put in place to prevent abuse. Philip Lee-Shanok, CBC News, Toronto.